Favor? Opposed? I guess we will adjourn into executive session at this time.
You want to take this with you?
You guys are back, I had to shave twice.
I make a motion, we come out of executive session.
Me too.
All in favor? The chair would like to make a statement summarizing the executive session. The town issued a stop work order because Bateman was building 3-bedroom units and the footprint of the addition to the Sullivan School was considerably larger than the approved plan. And the approved plan only accounted for 2-bedroom units. The board is fully appreciative of the voice of the community regarding this issue and will continue to pursue these concerns at our next executive session. Which will not be taking place this evening.
We forgot the Pledge of Allegiance.
No, we haven't. Roll call. Everybody's here.
Everyone's here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, now we will proceed to the Pledge of Allegiance, everybody.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have no outstanding minutes for approval. Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
That is correct. The minutes that we were keeping, depending on what the board would wish to do with them, I was keeping minutes as Selectmen Crichton and Murphy were meeting, and I have them with the town clerk. If you wish for me to put them on the website, I can. If not, we'll just leave them in the file in case somebody wants to reference them.
The chair feels we should put it on the website. Okay, let's put it on the website.
Okay.
Okay, we're at that point where we're going to accept public comment. We'd ask you to please step up to the podium and so that the folks at home can hear. Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
David Rodriguez from 12 Wilson Street. I do want to make a statement relative to the building construction that you were likely discussing in executive session. I want to make clear that I don't know all the facts. And obviously, as you're discussing things in executive session, you will be privy to information that perhaps I will not be. I do want to make some suggestions and some cautions. I also want to make clear that I'm an abutter to this parcel and that as an abutter, I have rights to review what's been approved there through the planning board process. Those rights have now been violated, that something different has been constructed that went to the public. And that concerns me. That's an offense to me. I want to be clear that my opinion is the town needs new counsel as they go forward on this process. That there is a lease that has been signed that the residents expressed grave concern over. There were lies told to us by people that the residents have grave concern over, and that it is not necessarily in the best interest of the attorney who has so far represented this deal for everything to fully be brought out. I think separate counsel, a new counsel, the best counsel, would make sure that everything is thoroughly investigated. I also want to point out that as the town of Berwick brought a land use ordinance violation against me, I had the opportunity to learn that if you lose the land use ordinance, if you prosecute a land use ordinance violation and you're successful, the other side pays for the attorney. So we can fully expect that the town of Berwick will be reimbursed for these attorney charges by the Batemans because they are clearly in violation. I also think that the planning ordinance allows for an engineer to be hired to inspect the construction, to inspect the site, to look at the plans, and I would recommend that the town please do that. I also want to make sure that, as we have asserted for a long time, the developer should have made some upfront financial contribution to the town for this 10 acres of land that they will be leasing for 75 years for $1 a year. They should also have mitigated the site, meaning when they came to the site and they took the gravel parking area that served the town, they should have replaced it. By my quick math, and I don't know everything, but they are $500,000 to $700,000 ahead of the game right now because they made no upfront contribution and they didn't mitigate any of their impacts to the site. So when they offered to settle with you for $50,000, for $100,000, for $250,000, ask yourselves, what are you really getting for that? Because if it's anything less than $1 million, they're ahead of the game. So please consider that. And I ask finally for a thorough investigation of all permits from all state agencies. I want to point out that if you look at the dates on the plans that you have in front of you, you will see that they are very, very close. It appears that 2 plans were progressed at the same time, showing different numbers of units. The dates on those plans, stamp dates, are days apart. Days. And the tables are changed, and the notes in the plans do not indicate that changes have been made. And it looks very suspicious that there has been deceit planned for some time. And as a resident, I hope that is fully investigated and taken care of. Thank you, and congratulations all to your new positions on the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodrigue. We will take your comments under consideration. Yes, sir.
My name is Frank Underwood, 21 Key Road. Been in town since '79. Sat on the planning board for 14 years. Sat on the Economic Development Committee for a number of years, 5 years or so, when it was in existence. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm pretty straightforward. I try to give people advance notices of when I'm going to come and speak to the forum, and I did have the opportunity to speak to a few people sitting at the table here the other day, actually yesterday. I told you what I was going to do, and I'm here this evening to do that. What I'd like to do is offer up for your consideration as a board a warrant article that would allow us to vote at town meeting to take a look at what's happening in the downtown area. Not too many communities get a chance to have a do-over. We have a good opportunity here to do just that. Put back into the downtown something that's very attractive, very positive, very proactive, very walkable, all the buzzwords that you hear today of what communities are trying to do. I think I can look around this room and I can see people that sat in on that Economic Development Committee with me, and we did some good things back then. We got the bank in here, we got the hospital walk-in facility in here, and some other things. I think that there's a tremendous potential for people to step up in this community to do that. I'm offering this only as a suggestion. I got 6 copies of it. It's for you guys to weigh in, but I was very appreciative of what you said at the candidates' night, or candidates' evening there. And you were all saying the right things. We are investors. We're asking the Board of Selectmen to put forward some kind of an effort so we can develop a plan that we in the town of Berwick as investors can support and move forward. I think if you do it right, we end up with not just an individual such as the developer that's in town now, but you may end up with 8 or 10 developers that would come in here and be very supportive of something that we could put forward, especially if we put a proactive and positive spin on that. So I've got 6 copies of a suggested warrant article. I know you're going to lay out your timeframes for preparing warrants and getting the budget put together, but if you do decide to consider this, I'd be more than willing to come in that evening that you're taking it up, if you put it on there, to speak to you in more detail of what I'm proposing or would like you to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay. Communications, Mr. Manager. What do we got?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a few items to address. The first, we received a letter from the law firm of Prescott, Jameson, Nelson, and Murphy. They happen to be the people that represent the Duffys, who were in conflict with the town in the Berwick Iron and Metals case. They have withdrawn their objection to the Berwick and Iron Metals business moving forward, and have the judge has provided his dismissal without prejudice to that issue. So it appears that that project now is set to move forward. Received a email from Kay Rand and Sue Bell. They're the folks from Burstein Insure that are overseeing the final smart meter update for the state of Maine, and they've informed me with this email of Monday that all the smart meters in the town of Berwick have been installed.
So when are they gonna start using them?
So you already have.
Yeah, they have, I think.
They have?
Well,
My bill still says estimated.
well, you're getting old. I mean,
Mr. Chairman, I have 3 weekly newsletters that come at the end of every week from our state representative, Beth O'Connor, if you so desire to observe them. We do.
Mr. Manager, if anybody cares to get on that mailing list, is that an email address that we could release publicly to have them sign up to receive that at their homes?
Sure, we'll look into that and see what we can do to get that to them.
I think you can just go to our website. That's how I got on it.
We also receive weekly the legislative bulletins from Maine Municipal Association. We will take efforts now that we have 3 new sitting members to make sure that your names get placed with MMA and that you get on their mailing list, and be able to provide some of this stuff via email or hard copy, whichever way you prefer. This just provides you a snapshot of what the legislature is dealing with on a weekly basis while they're in session, and the position that Maine Municipal is taking with some of these in respect to the municipalities that they have as members. Again, have a letter from Mr. Rodrigue to the from the code enforcement officer to him on some of the information that he had shared earlier tonight. That's in the correspondence as well. We also have a info, and we'll have a little more of this discussion at your business meeting on the 17th, and as you set your agenda, we'll probably have some more discussion as well. We'll have the finance director back. We have a memo that was dated March 23rd, provided to your previous 2 colleagues, about some outstanding foreclosures on property that we have coming up, and that we're going to need some direction from the board as to how you wish for us to proceed on those matters. I signed on behalf of the town the Eagle Scouts, Ryan Gick's project, where he's going to be doing some renovations to our cemetery up on the corner of Berwick Road and Allen Street as part of his Eagle Scout project. That information's here if you wish to know or observe it. But Ryan came forward to the board and asked that he could go in there and do some cleaning of the shrubbery as well as reestablishing some of the gravestones that had been cracked and knocked over, and to refurbish them and place them back into general good order, so he could do that as part of his project.
Keith, I'd like to say something. In going by that cemetery, there is a big stone up on the kind of the hill part, and it looks like it has been split right in half, and it's very freshly done. So I think, because
It's up on the, is it on the wall?
No, it's up on, it's in the cemetery.
Oh, it's one of the gravestones, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's one of the gravestones, and you can see it by just driving by, and it's, well, it's about that wide, and then it's perfectly white inside. It looks to me like somebody went up there and just cracked that stone over.
Okay.
Because it's not even, doesn't look like a crack to me that's aged any. It looks like it was broken. And I
Thank
think
you.
that, we should be, because I think we do have to take care of that cemetery.
We had received a letter from the York County Commissioners in reference to ortho imagery project that they have funded. Some of the company that will be, has been hired by the state to perform these flyovers, to provide these photographs of various communities, have come forward to the town at this point and has asked if we wish to be involved in that flyover. I've told them that we had a new board that was coming on and that we would have to have some time to digest with them. I will provide a report to you at your meeting on the 17th outlining the position of what staff feels, what we should do with the requests for being involved in the flyover. I believe in some of your packets, we may have placed this in there, but MMA does have a variety of activities and workshops that are available to new members of the board. They have a elected officials workshop. This one that I have here is scheduled in Saco on January 19th. We will get more. I believe I provided a couple into your packets and the information I provided to you. If any interest you, please let me know. We can schedule your presence at those activities.
But I don't think that's January 19th, is it?
July.
Yeah, I think you said January.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said January. That's all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, next item, approval of account payable warrants.
Okay. We have two warrants here. Town warrant number 1240 is account payable in, for the amount of $249,849.66. And this warrant takes care of all the bills that we haven't paid since February 13th, I believe.
That's
Then
correct.
we have a water warrant, W1240, for the amount of $21,879.75. And I move that we accept these warrants as presented to us.
Second.
Discussion? The chair would like to ask you, Mrs. Murphy, have you, since this is kind of being rushed through, since we're in arrears in our bills, the new selectmen, I'll speak for myself, likely have not had an opportunity to review those in detail, and I believe we're relying on your assurance that you have been through that line item by line item, and that indeed that represents bills that are past due and are absolutely required, and there's nothing additionally that we need to question or look at in those packages.
I went through them this afternoon, and I went through each page, each line item, and I discussed a few things with the finance director, and I feel quite certain that everything here is in order the way it should be, and the bills paid were bills that had to be paid. There's nothing outstanding or anything.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of accepting the warrants as described? Report of committees.
I do not have any at this time, Mr. Chairman. When there are, generally, we will post them if I have knowledge of them onto the agenda. And the folks that will be making a presentation would then make those presentations on their behalf, but none tonight.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished, oh, go ahead. You have something to add?
No, I just have some documents that is going to be your next set of business that aren't down here, and I have to go get them for you. Yes, they're in my office. Please.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, so can we proceed with unfinished business, or is there anything in that list that we can accomplish without the documents you're seeking?
Well, the first one would be the opening bids of the forestry unit replacement, and those are the documents she's seeking. So if you wish to go to the next one to try to set up a time frame at which you would like to schedule your review of the operating budgets and the draft warrant that's been provided within your packets, that would be a perfect time to do that.
Without objection, I suggest that we move on to the second item here.
That's
No
fine.
objection.
Okay. Okay, let's do it.
What's your pleasure? Do you, I know that we've had some very limited discussions on availability of board members as the next several weeks expose. I can tell you that at this juncture, we're going to need to have the warrant finalized for presentation to the town by the 15th of May. So it gives us roughly around 41 to 42 days to finish that process. I do know that some of you were in attendance to a variety of the discussions that were being had prior to your elections to the board, and I've attempted to provide some of that information to you all as we were going through the process with Selectmen Murphy and Crichton. At this point, I'm open and available to whatever suggestions you would like to do. Generally, what the board has done in the past was to utilize a portion of their business meeting to address some of the issues, work on their off Tuesdays to address some as well. And because of our timeline, we may want to make a one-day marathon on a Saturday morning for 3 or 4 hours to tackle a lot of these issues and get them done. Thank you. So whatever is the pleasure of the board, we'll make it happen.
How does a Saturday sound to everybody? That might be easier than trying to coordinate schedules midweek.
Can you
Yeah.
pick a rainy Saturday? Fine. with me.
Bob's got a crystal ball that might have that capability.
Anything but the 28th.
Any Saturday?
are great, yeah.
Okay, and I'm not gonna be available on the 21st, so
That leaves the 7th and the
Please.
14th.
that leaves this coming Saturday. I'll dive right in and,
I have a committee meeting at 9 o'clock that morning.
how long will that last, Bob?
It's a walkthrough of the Penny Pond site. Probably, I'm guessing now, it'd be around an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Would you be willing to meet, say at, noontime, 1 o'clock, maybe after lunch?
After lunch would be fine.
Okay. Is 1 o'clock on this Saturday suitable for everybody?
As of right now.
Sounds great.
Okay, so we'll do a half-day
Good for you.
workshop, say 1 to 5,
Workshop from 1 to 5.
and that's open to the public, right? It'll be
Absolutely.
conducted here,
Yes.
okay? All right.
So we won't be meeting next Tuesday then?
Not unless, as you progress through this, whether you think we're going to need to, and I believe that we had discussed some other options that we may have to meet as the week unfolds, but I will contact you as I get that information, and obviously we'll make it public as quickly as possible if those times come up and we have to do that.
I will not be available on the 10th, for whatever it's worth.
Nor would I.
We won't either. No, that's right. How about the 11th?
I have a library board meeting, which I would hate to miss.
The 12th? 13th?
12th is fine.
I'm not available for the week of the 13th through the 21st.
Okay.
I will not be at that regularly
Then we
scheduled
don't,
board
let's
meeting
not
on
worry
Saturday.
about it. Let's
See
do
how
it.
far we get on Saturday.
You know, we'll do it Saturday morning, or Saturday afternoon rather, and then we'll pick it up on the 17th, at the regular Selectmen's meeting.
He won't
Okay.
be here on that.
I won't be here that day, so you'll be conducting the meeting, Mr.
Oh,
Vice
shit.
Chairman.
Well, that's all right. We gotta get it done. We can't frig around here forever.
Watch your language. There's kids listening.
My son's watching.
He'll be all right.
Okay, so back to item 1, opening of bids for forestry unit replacement.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, here they are.
Children in this
Um,
town.
The purpose tonight, we've been
It's
holding
better
them
than I
since we did not have a quorum. And the purpose tonight would be just to open the bids, and then we could provide them to the fire department for review. And then they can come back with recommendations as to if the bids fall within the framework that they had for the project.
They must have the specs that they send out.
Right, yes, they'll have the specs as well as the specs that were here. I believe that one of these may be a redundant bid because the submitter didn't know if their mailing was going to get here in time, and they wanted to ensure that at least we got their bid. So this may be a redundant bid to some of the 4 that you have here. So I'll provide them to you. You can have the pleasure of opening them. Unless you
Do I
want
have
me to
the
do
option
it.
of delegating that back to
You
you?
can give it back to me if you like.
I like being right here. This is great.
Now I need some to, anybody got a knife?
I should hope not.
Yeah, here's a guy with a knife.
We'd all be dead.
You're a good man, thank you. All right,
Selectmen's meeting, anybody got a knife?
the first bid I'm opening is from a company called Blanchat Manufacturing out of Harper, Kansas. It appears they have provided 2 packages within their documents. This one, I'll open bid number 1. It says bid proposal for fire department forestry vehicle. Here's the first bid, has a bid proposal. The bed apparatus for this is $174,685, and the chassis cost per unit would be $40,787 for a total cost of $215,472.
So that will
You don't give them away.
Good question. I believe there's a grant for this project, correct? Just because we have some new members, what was the dollar value on the grant that was approved?
It was, I believe, $182,000.
Thank you.
And we had to put up, what was it, $6,075?
I believe you're correct.
So the town had to.
6,000 or something. You said 6,000.
Yeah, 6,075.
750,
$750.
I think it was 750.
Yeah, it was.
Next bid has a bed apparatus for $167,739 and a chassis cost of $40,787 with a total cost of $208,526. Next one I'll be opening is a bid from Lakes Region Fire Apparatus out of West Ossipee, New Hampshire. This looks like it was quoted as a bid, but it looks like a calendar as far as I'm concerned. I don't see any bid here at all. We have a calendar.
Oh, that's nice.
Imagine the person that ordered the calendar.
Yeah. Next one we have is a bid from Firematic out of Yep Hank, New York. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. They have a bid of, for a 2012 BRAT, those are abbreviations, Rapid Attack Fire Truck, as per the specifications for $179,999. And there's a chassis discount of $1,500 with a total price of $178,499.
It sounds like that might be something a little different, and it meets the specifications for the quote, but it's...
Seems to be a little further in line to the specs that we had, at least the money that we had anticipated. This one is New England Fire Equipment and Apparatus Corporation out of New Haven, Connecticut. We have a price for one 2012 Freedom Forestry apparatus for the cost of the sum of $124,949.
Did that include the chassis?
Yes, includes the whole unit.
It's a complete unit, 129, okay.
And what I'll do is I'll open this one. I believe it's from one of the vendors that we opened, but I'll just confirm that. Yes, it was from BRAT, which is Brush Rapid Attack Truck, from Firematic out of New York. I believe we've already referenced the cost here. with a discount of $178,499.
Yep.
So those are the bids that you've received on that unit. I would make a recommendation that they be tabled, provided to the fire department for review, and then brought back to you for a recommendation based on the parameters of the grant. And if they meet the parameters, you guys can make a decision as to whether or not you wish to award it or not to.
So moved.
Yeah, I moved, he's moving, I'll second it.
All in favor? Tabling it? New business. Looks like we have one item, developing the agenda for the next meeting.
Yes, I didn't know if there were any things that the board, generally what I would be doing here is that we would have some discussion on the foreclosures that I discussed earlier. Those would be on the agenda. We would have further discussion on the budget, your municipal operating budget and the warrants. Well, we'll have if you can provide a report to me as to what you viewed and you recommend, I'll present that to the board. All right. Everything else, I don't have anything any additional items at this point. I know that your colleagues were talking about beginning the process of looking at the policies once again. They had been tabled. We only had 2 members, and there was some thoughts about maybe beginning the process of looking at those again as well. So whatever you decide, I can provide each one of you a email over the next week with further ideas, and and at the end of the week, I'll be providing a draft agenda that will be sent to you all. And if there are any items that need to be added or changed or modified, you can send that back to me, and generally what we've done in the past, unless the board wishes to change would be to, I would honor any requests that are being placed by any of the board members to be placed on the agenda for that business meeting.
I move that we put a portion of the policies on each meeting so that we can get through those. Those are quite essential. And some of them need to be done on a yearly basis. They haven't been done since 2005. So it's behooves us to take some of these and get them updated.
Yeah, do you think that we ought to take the ones we've done and just review them with the new members for one meeting?
Yeah, fine, that's fine with me, yeah.
Bring them up to
But
date
I
on what
would,
we've done.
I would recommend, strongly recommend that those that need to be updated on dates should be the first ones we take care of.
Okay, right, yeah, we do
No.
need to do that, it's very
Yeah.
important.
Because there are some policies that lapse yearly, and they have to be reviewed and dated as to the policy for the ensuing year.
The chair would suggest that we consider another planning session regarding all of these items that we want to discuss and work on over the coming months. And I think there's a number of them well beyond the policies. I think we're going to want to have further discussion about a budget committee, perhaps a business development committee. During the campaign for this election, there was some discussion about taking a look at the way we're accomplishing, or job descriptions, and employee reviews. I think we've got a whole lot of things that have been identified recently as concerns of the community that resulted in the recall election and this special election. So much so that we really ought to, have a thoughtful and planful session to take a look at, the bulk of some of these issues we want to tackle perhaps in the next 6 months, and try to lay out a plan to attack these things, prioritize them. What do
Yeah,
my
I
fellow
think
selectmen
that's a
feel
good
about that?
idea, but however, we are in a crunch to get the budget ready and the warrant ready. That should be top priority, because it does take time to get those printed and prepared for election, and we're already gonna be, I believe it's the 29th of June would be the annual meeting, and that's running a little bit late on the average, isn't it, the 29th?
27th, 28th.
Oh, all right, okay. Excuse
so-
me, I'm off a day.
All right, so that's a 60-day period, but I'm suggesting that we take an even longer look at things that we want to accomplish, a global
Oh, I agree with you.
look and prioritization of things.
Yep.
So I'm Chair's in agreement that, the budget is certainly a priority between now and the town meeting. But I'm suggesting that we, in the next 30 days or so, we lay out a plan, a comprehensive plan for a plan of attack moving forward for all of these issues that we have on our plate beyond those that are, right in front of us.
I think that's a good idea.
Rather than, we're talking about piecemealing a couple of policies here and a couple of policies there, and, we've got a lot to do, and I don't want to get into a habit of just piecemealing things week to week where we're going to tackle a couple of things. I want to get a big plan put together so that we can be focused like a laser on what this board wants to accomplish in some set time period moving forward, maybe 6 months.
So is that another extended session of brainstorming on a Saturday or maybe an off night?
It probably would be, more appropriate. I don't think that's something that we would necessarily squeeze into a regular meeting.
Mhm.
I'm thinking a workshop
Well,
style.
Saturday's
More
not,
public input on that.
Saturdays once in a while, but, I mean, we've never met on, and Saturdays coming up in April, we've got Earth Day, which is a big deal at the library, and we've got a few things like that, some of us have another life too. And also, it's getting beach time. Let's get some sun.
One of the quick ways of doing what you have in mind, though, Bart, is each one of us could put a listing together, and then you compile a listing. That we don't have to meet as a group. We could provide a listing, and then just kind of set the tone for what we're looking for, and then schedule a time to actually do it. That would be my suggestion. I think it would move things along a little quicker. That's the only thing. Yep.
Mr. O'Connor, do you have any input on this?
I think it would be a great idea to do what Robert said, and maybe if we could all put a list together of what we want to accomplish over what these things that we're talking about, these things why we're here, and then maybe we could focus that meeting a little bit.
Okay, so do we want to establish a date tonight for each of us individually to accomplish this? And then, maybe April 30th or another date within the next couple of weeks. I really don't want to procrastinate. So if the first step is individually putting our thoughts together,
Yeah.
fine. But then.
April 30th is a Monday night. Bowling banquet.
You're just looking to get a list of things that we want by a deadline. You want to establish a
Right.
deadline by which.
Establish a
you're
deadline at which
Yeah.
we're each individually, at our own pace, on our own schedule, we're gonna accomplish a list of things that we think the board should address.
Why don't
And then at that point, when we have that list, we'll schedule a
some
time to
time,
get
yeah.
together.
Oh, we aren't
to-
gonna meet that night.
The 14th.
No, you can send the list to me, and then I'll reach out and we can schedule a time to get together. I guess we'll discuss when we're gonna get together at a meeting, when the next meeting after the 30th.
When are you out of town?
I'll be back on the 21st,
When do you leave? Though?
the 13th.
What if everybody had it
Well,
by
if
the 13th?
everybody got their thoughts into Keith, he could run a listing.
Okay.
And then,
That's fine.
when we meet on the 17th is something we could set a date for to when we actually get together,
So can we get everything into them by the 14th? That's a Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to do it a day sooner.
The 14th of April is a Saturday.
What's that?
14th of April is Saturday.
We're
Okay,
just
well, then-
talking about
They're
getting
just-
the
Why don't you just
information.
bring them to that workshop session? That's gonna
That
be,
lady, I'm telling you.
oh, no, we're gonna have that this Saturday, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're just talking about sending a list in, Alan, or the
Yeah.
things that you want to deal with, that's all.
I think this, I mean, some of us already have a list. There's a few things that I had brought up already that I thought we ought to do. I think I have a little list at home already.
Okay, so we're all in agreement that by Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
we'll each individually send a list to Keith of what things that we want to address for the board's agenda for the next 6 months, and we'll, at that point, figure out a time when we can all get together and flow it into the schedule, so we can prioritize it and actually start accomplishing some new objectives. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. All right, so that was under new business on the agenda.
Yes.
Talking about flowing some initiatives into the agenda for a longer look, kind of like a 6-month look.
Okay.
Any other things that we want to consider for
I got a,
next week's agenda in particular?
no, what I'd like to ask, tell Keith, something I'd like to bring up. It's from a citizen. On First Street, Keith, they used to have the speed bumps,
Yes?
and a person that lived there contacted me, and there's 18 kids, I think, in 3 or 4 houses. There's 2 sets of twins, and there's been some problems with people going up there. They say 70 miles an hour going through the stop sign, and they'd like the speed bumps back for the summer. They said they understand that they take them out in the winter, but in the summer. And whoever the person is always, when they holler, slow down, he gives them the finger. And they aren't happy over that, and I can't blame them.
What street?
First
Yeah.
Street,
Pardon?
First Street, up off Sawmill Hill.
Oh, okay.
Anything else?
I'm all set, sir.
Okay.
Also, too, what's the status of the trees up here?
We've been in contact with them through the engineer, and we're working as the season progresses and the growing seasons come, we're gonna be working on removing them or moving them
Well, how
back.
long is it gonna take? I mean, it's been quite a while. I come out down there today, and, you gotta get right out on the road to see up Pine Hill.
Sure. Well, it's certainly been winter, and now that we've got seasonable weather, we'll get back on that, and I'll make sure that the engineer understands that that's something you want done.
Well, yeah. And that's it.
Okay, abatements / supplementals.
None tonight, sir.
Back to the final public comment segment. Mr. Long.
Good evening. I'd like to invite the Board of Selectmen to a potluck supper on April the 15th, being held at the Town Hall. And also would like to ask the Board of Selectmen to please consider dismissing the town manager for his failure over this Bateman project, and also dismissing the town attorney over his failure to do this. And I'd like to see you appoint somebody else to handle this for you, both in the aspect of an attorney and in the real estate aspect of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. We will take your comments under consideration. Mrs. Wheeler.
Thank you. I would like to say congratulations to all of you, and thank you for being willing to do this. I have 2 points to make. One, I hope on somebody's list, if we can include some way to try and make the website more user-friendly. I get endless questions and comments about calendars and things. If that can be an objective for somebody, that would be great. And the second one is, we at the school board are going to be having freedom of access training in the very near future. So if that's something we always offer, to offer that as a combined opportunity, save money on doing it twice. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, I can make sure that you all know when that's going to be, because it's really valuable. training.
I think that some of us might be interested in
Yeah.
that.
Excellent, I'll let you know.
Well, you're cutting the budget by $1.5 million anyway, right?
Oh, I forgot to tell you that, Bob, yeah, that too.
Just so you folks know, what Mrs. Wheeler's just talked about is a mandatory requirement for new board members. You have to have that training. So you can either get it through the school board, or you can, there is a website that you can access, and you can review the materials, and they have a certification that you can fill out and make sure that that information gets to the town clerk. But I would suggest strongly that if you do anything, that I would stay with with any training that is in-house, that you can go to and listen to maybe some of the war stories that some of these people put it on for. But
I highly recommend the training with the lawyer. The website is just not nearly as thorough, and I mean, those of us who've been there know this can be a real issue, it can be a real expense for the town and for the school certainly, so it's just not something you want to get into, and they do a really good job. And part of the benefit of that is being able to ask clarification, really questions that you can't get answers to when you do it on the website. So offering it up, you don't have to, but it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Well, do you have a date pegged for that?
I don't yet, I'll let you
Oh,
know.
how come? Are you chairman of the school board? I'd like to give it to her, my God. Oh, well. Good shot, anyway.
Anybody else? Mr. Manager, I have a question. Obviously, under unfinished business, we discussed things that have previously appeared on the agenda that we didn't take to completion. What is our mechanism, what has the board's past mechanism been for taking citizens' comments and, we say we'll take your comments under consideration, but what does that mean? And how do we take the feedback from the public and transition that into something that we can report back to them on, or take action on, or discuss or consider, without just going from week to week, okay, they made their comments, and then you forget all about it. What kind of, a lot of questions, what kind of notes do you take? I mean, what is that mechanism for taking public comment and turning it into something that the board actually does consider beyond head nods as they're speaking, and take action on it from one week to the next?
there has not been a formal policy, and generally what may or may not happen, depending on what the board, what kind of nod or information that you provide back to me as a manager, once they stand up and make a comment, you may want to say to the manager, can you have that on the agenda for next week, or so we can review it again, or if it's something that you think needs to have more full review by the board, you can take it that way. If it's something that is like in Selectman Murphy's case where she was asking about those trees, I can report back on those issues so you understand that what steps we're taking in order to take care of that and manage that. So it has never been a formal practice. Whatever the board decides and what you wish to do and how you like to either formalize it or leave it open is entirely up to you.
I would suggest that any question that deals with something that we're not familiar with, and when I say not familiar with, we don't have the answer immediately, it's taken under advisement, and then it's reported back at the next board meeting. And that way, it kind of settles the question, whatever that question might be. That's immaterial as far as I'm concerned, but I think that's an adequate way of doing business.
Unless it's a personnel question. and then
Well,
you've got to-
personnel doesn't
to
come
do it.
to us.
Yeah.
So some of the feedback that the chair received during the election and campaign process was that there was some level of dissatisfaction in the community
with the way we followed through on unfinished business. At some point, some items would just fall off the agenda without actually being completed, or some level of satisfaction achieved that, there was an actionable outcome and it's resolved, or it's still pending. I'm in favor generally of, even if the list becomes lengthy, that we keep unfinished business in unfinished business until it's resolved.
I agree with that. I think that's a good policy. Because the list gets long and it kind of becomes apparent you're not dealing with it, so you really need to. It kind of forces you to look at it every week.
Maybe you even date the issues.
You mean even some of the phone calls that we get on problems that people have out there, such as the speed bumps on First Street and the trees up off Pine Hill there, that is the view that you can't see up Pine Hill when you come out the little short street there on Sullivan?
I think as long as it's an issue that we discuss at this meeting, like you brought up,
Yeah.
versus, getting emails from residents that aren't at the meeting and that the board doesn't discuss publicly, yes, I think that should be put onto the unfinished business list, and we should talk about it until it gets resolved first, and be having some kind of action plan.
Because, sometimes, like, the trees, it's been quite a while, and I don't know, I guess they kind of left my mind. And today I came down there, and I said, oh, wow, those trees are still there, and I'm trying to look up Pine Hill, try to look down, and,
We don't want you on Pine Hill, so.
well, and it's a dangerous thing. And I got a small car compared to a pickup truck or something. People have that complain to me, have trucks, and they have problems.
Can we address specific issues that come up and make it apparent to everyone here that this will be further addressed at the next meeting, so that we make sure that it becomes a line item on the at the next meeting?
Tonight you had trees, speed bumps, and website.
Trees,
Right.
I mean, those things could be listed.
Mr. Manager, can you add those to the
Something
list?
to clarify that, though, seriously, and that's a strong issue. We sit here and listen to conversation from the public, and that's all well and good. But if there's a question we can't answer at the time that it's asked, that question should be put in writing and signed, so that we know directly who is asking the question, as opposed to just keeping minutes, because it can get changed in the translation. I guess that's the best bet. I don't see any reason for not requesting it in writing if it's something that we just don't have an answer for.
Just thinking out loud, that just seems to put the burden of a public comment on the resident to document it before they come to the podium. And I would think that, the chair would think that somebody could come and express their views verbally, ask a question verbally, and not necessarily have to put it in writing, because I think that's going to scare people or discourage people from actually making public comment that we might all benefit from hearing.
Well, I think he keeps those notes. I think he puts down what people ask for, don't you?
We attempt to, yes.
I think we could just make note that we want to make sure that is addressed at the next meeting, make sure it's on.
Because I make notes on what
Business.
everybody who comments, notes
Right.
that I can read.
As did I, and those comments need to be, if we're going to actually accomplish any action on those, they need to be put on an agenda and tracked in some manner, rather than on our individual notepads.
Oh, yeah, but, the website should be easy enough to remember.
All right, so it sounds like we have consensus that we are going to, as we did tonight, take specific actionable items from the public comment portion, and we're going to add them to unfinished business, or perhaps new, I guess it would be unfinished business strictly, correct, for the next meeting.
Yeah, if it's brought up and it's going to appear on the next agenda, it would appear under unfinished business.
Okay, and then, that list may become long. We might have to go to a second page. We might have to date things so that we may want to set an objective of, these things need to be actioned by, within 60 days. I mean, there are some things like you've got some kind of a stop sign or a speed limit change or something like that. Those things may not be actionable within whatever period of time we designate. But I think it's important that we get these in writing, track them, and carry them through to completion before they fall off the radar.
And that reminds me, speed limit on Cemetery Road, I've been asked about that again, and I said that the state was looking at it, and the state does set all speed limits. It's been quite a while. Have you heard anything from that, Keith?
I have not, and I followed up with the police chief. I'll follow up with him again and see if he's heard anything.
Okay.
Can you put that on the unfinished business for the next
Yeah,
meeting, please?
because the people up there are very concerned. The speed limit's 45, and I have to agree with them that they don't go 45 even.
So while we're brainstorming, not to prolong this point, but is there anything else from previous meetings that we would suggest that we add to this list of unfinished business?
Well, it was
Yeah.
pretty clear when the fellow from DOT was here, the state has full authority to set the speed limits. We don't. Point blank.
Well, the state has
Cut and dry.
authority, but
They
it
have
takes them forever
complete
and a day.
authority, so.
They came up
To
and looked
even
at it.
question it doesn't make much sense, because that's the state policy. That's not our policy.
But I think the squeak wheel gets the oil down there.
Well,
So,
hasn't so far.
well, if you keep at them, I think you'll eventually get it. Maybe we should call State Senator, he's chairman of Transportation Committee.
Okay, so that list is going to be a work in progress, and we can continue to add to it as we move forward. Mr. Levine?
I just wanted to add to your list, there was talk in the previous administration about appointing a budget committee.
Yes.
That may be something you want to put on your list.
No, elected one.
Electing or appointed. I don't know if it was chased to its final fruition in that sense, but there was a discussion of merit and how helpful that may be in working in parallel with you guys in your budget preparation.
I believe it's on as part of your draft warrant article.
Yeah.
It is,
The
it
article's
is
there,
on
so
it
you'll
on
be
that
discussing that
Yeah.
during your budget reviews and deliberations.
And some of us have the information on the different towns that have budget committees that Keith has provided for us. And I know I had mine out looking at it the other day, just to review it in my mind.
Yeah, the board will have to vet that between you all and then decide what you wish to do with it, and how you proceed if you wish it to have it to be on your warrant.
Okay. So rather than put that on the list tonight, I think we're all satisfied that that is in the form of a warrant right now. Plus, it's probably on several of our lists that we're going to submit to Keith by the 13th
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
longer-term discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if there's nothing else, I move we adjourn.
You're not chair.
What's that?
You're not chair, you can't adjourn it.
I can make the motion, honey.
Oh, but you didn't say, you
I
didn't
never
say I
liked
make
that
a
woman
motion.
anyway. I'm telling you.
You gotta say, I moved to adjourn.
I said that.
No, you just said adjourn.
I'll second it.
Wait, I'm telling you, you are a troublemaker.
Mr. Peyton, you going to vote on that?